There are two contested races for this year's annual town election on April 11th. Liz Kalajian sat down with the school committee candidates to find out more about the people who are vying for the two open seats.
Why are you running for school committee?
I think I have one of the best free jobs anywhere. I get to see the incredible work going on in the Needham Public Schools. What we do, and I've said this a lot, is create the next generation, prepare the next generation of citizens. And seeing the dedicated staff and students and the incredible commitment they have, not only to scholarship, but to social and emotional learning, to becoming better citizens, to helping their community, it's really exciting. And I am as excited today as I was when I first ran 12 years ago. Being able to help the system and to help us have the finest educational system and have these kids get the opportunities they really deserve is why I do it.
Well, I've been on the school committee for the last 2 terms. It's 3-year terms. And we have achieved so much. It's been a very effective team. And I still want to be a part of the projects we have coming up. My background is that I'm a parent of children who've been educated in Needham Public Schools. I have a master's degree in educational administration and supervision. And I've been an active volunteer in both schools and the community for the 23 years that I've lived in Needham.
I feel like I've been a fairly political person for most of my life. Starting in '08 when Barack Obama won the presidency, I was really inspired by what public servants can do for their communities. But over the past 18 months, things have gone the other direction. It's been disheartening and disappointing to see the rhetoric and legislation come out of Washington. And since the most recent election, I've decided to consciously kind of ramp up my engagement and my involvement in the community, both national and local. So I've been calling my representatives and my senators, but I want to do something more meaningful here at home. So I was taking a look at how I could really throw my hat into the ring, especially as a 24-year-old in kind of the newer generation as far as political engagement goes. And so I decided to run for school committee because looking at the board now, the members are all at least a generation older than I am. And I feel like while they've done a fantastic job, I mean, I'm a product of the Needham Public School system and I have no complaints. I really enjoyed my time going through the system. When you have a homogenized group like that, you lose some perspective. And so I'm running for school committee to speak up for students and to bring a youthful and enthusiastic perspective back to the committee to really help focus on the students and the schools that need it most.
I'm running for school committee for a couple of reasons, but first and foremost, I have 3 kids in the Needham Public Schools. So I have an 8th grade daughter at Pollard and sons at both High Rock and Mitchell. And so one of the reasons I'm running is I just want to contribute to the long-term quality of our schools, not just for my own kids, but for all kids in Needham. And I think I'm qualified to do so. I've been a high school English teacher, I've been a high school principal, and I'm currently running a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to closing the achievement gap at schools across the country. And so I believe I bring, if given the opportunity to do so, bring an important perspectives as both a parent and an educator to the work of the school committee.
What are the big issues facing the school committee?
Well, we have several important goals that we have laid out, and each year we do this. We started doing this about 3 years ago when I was chair, just so we could communicate to the community what the most important things we were focused on. And as a school committee, we're not running the schools. That's what the superintendent does. We are working to help enable him and his staff to have the things that they need to be able to run the schools effectively. So the one goal, of course, has been partly met when we passed the override for the new school on Central Avenue. So having that's underway and ready for opening in, we hope, September 2019. The high school project, just last night, we had the presentation and we had the vote at a joint meeting of the Permanent Public Building Committee and the school committee for the option F, which is to build an additional space, classroom space on Webster Street. That is probably our biggest challenge because it's something where we have about $7 million that the town manager has put into the capital plan, and the option that we've chosen, frankly, they were all over. That $7 million is $11 million. So we're going to have to work very closely with the town manager, finance committee, board of selectmen, and the community and town meeting to figure out how to make that work with all the other priorities. If that goes well at town meeting in May, construction could potentially start a year from a year from then and then be ready the following year. And that would be a huge, huge boon given the crowding in the high school. And then, of course, opening full day K. That is something this community has looked forward to long before I was even on the school committee, and we're finally going to get there. We hope in September of 2019, could be in September of 2020, but with the rebuilding of a Central Avenue school, we're finally going to have enough room in the buildings, and now we just have to work within the schools to plan for it, to get the teachers and the community ready, and to come up with the funds, because obviously having a full day kindergarten costs more than having a half day K.
Student population is always rising. It has been for the last couple of decades, and the projections are still increasing. So we're running out of space. So the big thing right now is the new elementary school construction that's happening on Central Ave that will be replacing Hillside School. But we're also facing a shortage of space in the high school, and with town meeting approval, we were able to expand the cafeteria, and now we have just completed and yesterday voted on an option to do classroom expansion for the high school to accommodate the growing school population that we have. So that's a big one. Now, of course, with more students, there are budget concerns, and as a school committee member, you have to be very fiscally aware of what we're asking for, and our budgets are always very tight, and we try to provide new programs that can continue to challenge our students and our teachers within the space constraints that we have. Some of the other things that are going on in school committee is that right now we're negotiating contracts for 3 of the unions. There's 3 units. That includes the teacher aides, the secretarial staff, and the nutrition staff. And so, once again, being aware of our finances in town to both negotiate contracts that are fair and competitive with surrounding communities, but be aware of the fiscal restraints that we have in our town.
So Needham obviously right now is in great shape relative to other communities around the state and the country. But as far as issues, kind of pressing issues that are facing the committee and the school system now, Needham High School obviously has some space constraints. This past Monday there was a public hearing for potential building additions and construction options to build onto the school. I'm in favor of a couple of them, and as the school committee continues to work things out and town meeting continues to vote on them, hopefully some progress will be made there. But aside from the space constraints at the high school, I believe that there are some opportunities for the school committee to tackle energy efficiency in school buildings with the solar farm over at the town dump and this kind of run of new building construction in the school system. Needham has the unique opportunity to really embrace energy efficiency and tackle the important issue of kind of, I guess, energy and social responsibility in that sense. And other things that I'd love to advocate for and work on as a member of school committee include gender-neutral bathroom access for students at all schools, expanding the Own Your Peace Week from the high school down to lower levels as well. And then another thing that's been talked about at the school committee level already is full-day kindergarten. Communities around us have already embraced that, and I think it's a great time and opportunity for Needham to jump on board with that as well.
You know, there are a number of issues facing the school committee. I think first, one thing we're talking about currently is the need to expand the space at the high school. But this is not just about the amount of space. This is about the design. How do we build in flexible use? And how are we also building in opportunities for students to collaborate? So collaborative spaces are important. Again, so the physical size of the school is important, but it's also the design and how we use it. I think the second part is all-day kindergarten. So we're one of few communities in Massachusetts that does not yet have free full-day kindergarten, and I know plans are underway to change that. Third, technology. My daughter was the first of the iPad generation. We purchased those iPads several years ago, and so I've seen firsthand how they've been used. And I think one role of the school committee is to continue to look at how the investment is being used to foster student engagement, creativity. How are we using this as a tool, both for teachers, parents, in students moving forward. And all of these things require responsible budgeting. So I believe the school committee has to obviously advocate for quality schools and resources to make it happen, but also recognize that we're in a larger context within the town and that there are many competing needs. But that's the role of the committee. And again, if given the opportunity to do so, I look forward to contributing to the long-term quality of the schools.
For more information on the school committee candidates, you can go to the League of Women Voters website or the individual candidates' websites.